Hello and welcome back. Today we will begin with a very important session that we have. We've completed all the vowel sounds. We've looked at how vowels are formed. I hope you remember that. We said vowels are those sounds that we open our mouth and produce. A, O, E. You know all of them now. Yes? Now what we need to do is take a look at consonants. Consonants, remember those? Of course you do. Consonants are those sounds which are produced by blocking or obstructing the vowel sounds. That's what we said earlier, and that's how we will look at consonants. So in the coming sessions what we will do is we will see how consonants are produced, what are the general errors that we have in our region in production of consonants, and how do we produce and get to the clear target sounds. For example, there is the consonant sound of j. Heard that before? As in M-E-A-S-U-R-E, measure. Yes, it's not measure, it's measure. It's not measure. I'm saying measure. It's a different consonant sound. We will look at how each of these consonant sounds are produced for us to get to the clarity of the clear, good target sounds. But what are consonants? As you can see on page 30 in your workbooks, Introduction to Consonants, yes, it says a consonant sound is produced by shaping, stopping, or blocking the air stream as it passes through the nose or mouth. Yes? The position of the articulators will affect the consonant sound. Now, what are articulators? Articulators are nothing else but what obstruct the sound. Okay? For example, voiced consonants and unvoiced consonants is what we are looking at here. Now, what are voiced consonants? Voiced consonants are, this involves the muscular activity of the tongue as well as the activation of the vocal cords. Now you might say every sound that we take out is voiced, because what is unvoiced? Unvoiced is silent. Do we have to shut our mouth and not speak and produce a consonant? No, that is not what we are trying to say here. What I'm trying to say here is voiced consonants have a vibration. They have a vibration when we take the sound out. For example, we have the consonant d, the written d, d. Now what is happening here? The vowel sound is and we are obstructing it by our tongue, the tip of the tongue behind the top teeth, to give us d, d, d. We are vibrating our voice box, d. When we say that's how we vibrate the voice box. So this vibration along with that's the sound, and we obstruct this sound by the tip of the tongue behind the top teeth, and that gives us d, d. Of course, we will be looking at each of these consonant sounds and how they are produced individually. Today is just, and this time is just, an introduction to consonants, so that we get used to certain terms like articulators in the previous passage. Yes, so you can feel voiced consonants as they resonate in your chest. When you say d, 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 you can feel it. Yes, and by placing a hand on it brings resonance and depth to the speech. D. And unvoiced consonants are what? Means they're not said? No. Unvoiced consonants are made by the muscular expulsion of breath without the vocal cords being activated. Now what does that mean? Activated? Of course, vocal cords have to be activated to produce a sound, but they are not vibrated. For example, the consonant sound t, the written T. Yes, the written T. T, t. That's the sound. T. Again, the tip of the tongue behind the top teeth, not at the back of the mouth, t, gives us t. Yes, and the d, same place. If you vibrate the t, you get the d. T, d, t, d, t, d. What is happening? In one sound, I am vibrating the voice box. In the other, I am not. Okay, so this is what a voiced and an unvoiced consonant is. Something very simple. Voiced means it is vibrated. Unvoiced means it's not vibrated. Now this diagram that we have, that you can see on your screen now, you have it also on page 30 in your workbooks. This diagram is something that we need to look at and get accustomed and maybe know the parts of the mouth that we need to know to produce each and every consonant sound. We have the alveolar ridge. Yes, the first one we have here is the alveolar ridge. Now the alveolar ridge is nothing else but this here, is this part here. I hope you can see it on your screen. Yes, is this part. Now what is the alveolar ridge? The alveolar ridge is the little bump that you have behind the top teeth. Take your tongue. I would like you to do this with me so that you get to know the parts of the mouth inside. Take your tongue behind the top teeth and you see a little bump before the big roof of the mouth begins. That is the alveolar ridge. Now why are we doing this? Because I will be telling you and correcting you as well to know, no, the tongue has to be not on maybe the palate, the hard palate, but on the alveolar ridge. Move the tongue from the roof of the mouth to the alveolar ridge. When we do that, so that you know exactly what is the what part, is important for us to go through these as well. So alveolar ridge, the tongue tip, we all know the tip of the tongue. The tongue blade is the side part of the tongue is the tongue blade. The tongue body, the middle fleshy part of the tongue. The larynx inside the throat. Yes, the epiglottis is that little part that hangs in the throat, is the epiglottis. Then we have the tongue root, the pharynx, the uvula, the soft palate, and the hard palate. Okay, the hard palate is nothing else but the roof of the mouth. Right inside, when you curl your tongue up, that's what it touches, the roof of the mouth. Now, place of articulation of consonant sounds is very, very important. Now, place of articulation only means that this is the part of the mouth that produces a particular sound. For example, the first one that we have is called bilabial consonants. Yes? Now, bilabial consonants are nothing else. What does it mean? Bilabial. Two is bi, yes, and labial, lips. Meaning both lips are used to produce this consonant sound. Now, what is that? Two lips are the articulators. What are those sounds? P, the written P, pin, B, bin, M, mat, W, the written W, W, when. Please remember, the written W and the written V in English have two different sounds. This is the written W here, which is W, P, B, M. Okay, these are bilabial sounds. Then we have labiodental consonants. Labio, we said lips, and dental means the teeth. So labiodental consonants, the active articulator is the lower lip. Okay, the active articulator is the lower lip, and the passive articulator are the upper front teeth. Yes, flower, vase. These are labiodental, meaning the lip is going between the teeth to give us the f or the v sound. The lip and the upper teeth are the articulators. Articulator, as we said, is the part of the mouth that produces the sound. V, f. Okay, then we have dental consonants. Now, some might say dental, meaning the teeth are producing some sounds on their own that I've never heard. No, that's not what we are saying here. Now, dental consonants are the tip of the tongue is the active articulator, the tip of the tongue, just the tip, yes, and the upper front teeth are the passive articulators, yes. Now, what could this be? Like th, thick, th, thick, the, the, these are dental sounds. Of course, I'm not showing you or explaining too much about how each of these sounds is produced. We're just getting to know bilabial, labiodentals and dental consonants. Each sound, of course, is covered individually in the coming sessions. Then we have alveolar consonants. Now, alveolar consonants are the tip blade of the tip or the blade of the tongue is the active articulator, and the teeth ridge, that little bump that we said, the root of the teeth, is the passive articulator. Now, what is that? Like the sound I told you earlier, t, t, the written T. I'll say here as well, and I will keep saying it again, we do not have a T. We do not have the written Hindi or Punjabi T in English. It's not there. But you might say, yes, we do. We have the written T. And that's what I'm trying to say here. The written T is not the T. The written T in English, the T sound, is T. That's the sound. T. How is this produced? The tip of the tongue, if this is your tongue, and this is the roof of your mouth, and these are the teeth, the tip of the tongue goes just a little higher, just raises up a little bit to say T. T. Okay, that's the sound. It's not, if you say T, the tongue is curling up in the mouth to say T, and it's reaching for the roof. The tongue should not reach the roof of the mouth. It has to come further in front to give us T. So, dental consonants, sorry, the alveolar consonants, that's where we were. Alveolar consonants, we have the teeth ridge is the passive articulator and the active articulator is the tip of the tongue. For example, we have the T, D, N, S, Z, L, Z as in zoo. There are some regions in Punjab and some of us who do not know how to produce the Z sound. The zum, zoo, zip. It's not jip, it is not Jew, it's not the J, it's the Z. How do we produce the sound? All of this is what we're going to look at in consonants, and that's why we need to know what part of the mouth is being used to create our target sound. As I said also, that consonants are very mechanical sounds, meaning you have to use the mechanics of the mouth to produce the correct sound. So for you as teachers and trainers, you will have to be absolutely clear in production of the sound, how it is being produced, and it is very simple to correct this sound, consonant sounds, because it's exactly at the place of articulation. If the tongue is the tip of the tongue behind the top teeth, you get T. If the tip of the tongue is further back in the mouth, you get a harder T. So, what's the target sound? T. Take the tongue further in front of the mouth, just behind the top teeth, and not further back. So this way you will be able to correct sounds, consonant sounds as well. We have palato-alveolar consonants. Now, palato-alveolar consonants, here the tip or blade of the tongue is the active articulator, and the teeth ridge is the passive articulator. Yes, for example, ship, sh, sh. Okay, the tip or blade of the tongue is the active articulator, and the teeth ridge is the passive articulator. Sh, ship, pleasure, j. Yes, that's the sound that we are looking for. J, pleasure, ch, chip, j, jeep, r, red are palatoalveolar sounds. Okay, palatoalveolar meaning the tip or the blade of the tongue is the active articulator, and the teeth ridge, that same, the bump behind the top teeth, is the passive articulator. Sh, ship, zh, zh, pleasure, measure, leisure. Yes, j, chip, j, jeep, r, red are all palatoalveolar sounds. Now, palatal consonants, what are palatal? Palate is the roof of the mouth inside. Palatal consonants are the front of the tongue is the active articulator, and the hard palate is the passive articulator. Y, y. How are you saying yes? Take a bit of time and say these consonants out with me. See, feel inside your mouth, how is the y being said? Y, y. And you will see exactly the front of the tongue is the active articulator and the hard palate is the passive articulator. Y, y. Yes, the side of the tongue is touching the hard palate and the sound is traveling through over your tongue, and the tip of the tongue is going down and making a sort of funnel to give us the y, y sound. You feel it? Exactly that. Yes, that's what I want you to do as well for each sound. Feel inside your mouth how it is being produced, because maybe some of us need to correct some of our own sounds. So we will need to make sure that the sounds we know are being produced at the right place. Okay, now velar consonants. Velar consonants are produced how? The back of the tongue is the active articulator, the back of the tongue. And the soft palate is the passive articulator. Now, this is a sound that if I asked you to say ing, I-N-G, ing, S-U-N-G, like in the word sung, he sung a song. K, come, k, come, g, guess, g, are velar sounds. Now, these are sounds that we most often give in all the nursery rhymes that we do for school students and little children. Because if I ask you as an adult right now to raise, lift up the back of your tongue, try and do it. You can't. It's not possible for us to just, if I ask you to raise the back of your tongue, it's a bit difficult. But if I ask you to say king, what is happening? If I say ing, the back of your tongue is raising up to the soft palate to give us the ng sound. And that's why we use this sound in nursery rhymes, like all the king's horses and all the king's men, Humpty Dumpty. Yes, and children automatically start producing this correct sound. So these were velar consonants. Then we have, of course, glottal consonants. Now, glottal sounds are produced at the glottis, and the two vocal cords are the articulators. For example, horse, horse. Okay, these are glottal sounds. Now, manner of articulation of consonants, we go further. Plosives or stops. Plosive, plosive. There is first a complete closure of the passage, or at some point in the passage of air, there is first a complete closure of the passage of air at some point in the vocal tract. And as a result of it, a pressure of air is built behind the closure. The closure is then suddenly removed. It says here in your book as well. Yes, on page 31. Yes, on page 31. And the closure is then suddenly removed, causing in the process a sudden release of the blocked air with some explosive noise. Yes. Now, p, b, t, d, k, g are all plosive sounds. What do we mean by plosive sounds? There is no air. How is this happening? What is it? Now, I would like you to take your hand, okay, and say p, p, the written p, 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 p. Now, what is happening? You should feel a small puff of air on your hand when you say p, p, p. What is happening? In p, there's a small puff of air that comes out. I'm not saying p, I'm saying p. I'm not saying b, I'm saying b. These are softer sounds where a bit of air comes out when you say this particular sound. For example, p, b, t, d, k, g. Okay, these are plosive sounds. Just for you to know, plosive means a bit of air comes out when you say these sounds. It will become much clearer when, of course, we do each of these individual sounds like p, b, t, d, k, g. Yes? Affricates. Now, affricates are produced in 3 stages, as in the case of plosive. The first 2 stages are the same as plosives. Now, the building of air pressure behind the closure follows the complete closure of air passage. But unlike plosives at the 3rd stage, the air is released slowly. When we say, before we say the p, before we say the written p, if we stop, if we say, you feel air is blocked behind the closure of the lips. And then we open the lips to let the air out in one go, and it says p, p. Yes? Whereas in affricates, if we say ch, 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 like in chair, what is happening? Ch. Air is released continuously. Yes? Ch, j. There is no total closure and air being released in one go. There is total closure, yes, j, but air is released continuously. Ch, j are affricate sounds. Then we have, of course, nasal. Nasal sounds, yes, sounds being produced by the nose. Of course, in consonant sounds that are being produced by the nose, not other sounds produced by the nose, which says here, in the production of nasal sounds, nasal passage remains open. The lung air passes freely through the nose, but the oral passage remains closed. For example, mat, mat, nap, nap. So we've closed the throat and the air is going through the nose to give us map, nap, sung. It's a nasal. These are nasal sounds. Then we have fricatives. There is no closure anywhere in fricatives. There is only a narrowing. Yes, the active articulators come very close to the passive articulators, leaving only a narrow gap between the two. When the air passes through a narrow gap, it causes audible friction. You'll see which ones these are and you know exactly what we mean by this. As the air can pass continuously, the sound produced in this manner can be continued sound. It's a continued sound. Yes, thus fricatives are continuants and are accompanied by audible friction, like fan. Okay, fan, fan. Good. Fan, fan. Exactly. What is happening here? The air is going through flower, and the audible friction is heard very clearly. Van, thick, the, that, so, zoo, ship, pleasure, horse are all fricatives. Yes, of course we'll be doing each of these sounds individually. It will be much clearer there as well. Then we have laterals. A lateral is produced when there is only a partial closure. Some point in the mouth, so that the air stream can escape on one or both sides of the contact. Now, since the air can pass continuously, the sound produced can be continuous, or it can be continued. For example, love, love. What is happening here? Tongue is going up behind the top teeth, and air is passing over the sides of the tongue, love. I hope you're all doing this with me to see and feel how each of these sounds are produced and what are lateral sounds. And then we have some approximants and semi-vowels, or we also call them glide. Now, semi-vowels are vowels that function as consonants. How is that? W. W. Why is the written W an approximant or a semi-vowel? Because there is really no obstruction. When we say the W, way, the only thing that's happening is the lips are going forward, becoming kind of around to say w, w. Exactly. So, w, the written W is an approximant. R, the same way. Y are approximants or semi-vowels as well. We have this table, consonant distinction in tabulated form, exactly what we've done. Place, bilabial, labiodental, dental, alveolar, palatoalveolar, palatal, velar and glottal. And we have the manner under that. Manner is nasal, plosive, affricate, fricative, lateral or approximant. And which one is produced by what is in this table. It's a very comprehensive, very good table that we've made for you here, because exactly you will know which one is what. So you see, a s or a z sound is a fricative alveolar, whereas a r is an approximant, a palatoalveolar. Do you follow that? Yes, it's a very important table. Maybe you can have it up in class, maybe you can give it to your students, maybe just for yourselves. Let's do an activity. Now we need to choose the correct response. I will say a sentence and you need to choose if it's price or prize. We've given you two options there. Okay, the first sentence is, you look at it before buying anything and you get it for winning. You look at it for buying anything and you get it for winning. The second sentence is bus or buzz. We have the bees like to do this, and the second sentence is you can go by it. Bus or buzz. Third sentence is spice or spies. Please hear the difference between spice and spies. Yes, I sound, the I vowel heard very clearly here, but there's a s and a z difference. Spice and spies, yes, it makes the food tasty and one does it secretively. The fourth is niece or knees. You can scrape them while playing, and we have you love her. Then we have sip or zip. You have your coffee or your dress. And sink and zinc we used for galvanizing the Titanic, the famous ship. So let's look at the first pair of sentences. Price or prize. You look at it before buying anything. You look at the price, sir. And you get it for winning, of course, then it is the prize. So the difference between z and a sir. Bus and buzz, again a sir and z difference. The bees like to do this. They like to buzz. Just the word for bees. They buzz. And you go by it is, of course, the bus. Spice and spies. We have it makes food tasty. What makes food tasty is spice makes food tasty, yes. And one does it secretively. One, that is, spies. One spies secretively. Otherwise, one is not a good spy. And, of course, niece. Niece and knees. You can scrape them while playing is, of course, your knees. And you love her is niece. Sip and zip, you sip, take a sip of your coffee and you zip your dress. what is used for galvanizing. I'm sure the teachers, chemistry teachers and physics teachers know this, and I'm sure all of you do too. Used for galvanizing is zinc, and Titanic, the famous ship, sink. Yes, I'm sure most of us have watched the movie Sink and Zinc. Okay, listen to these words. Write the word that is not pronounced with a sh. Okay, I will say the words out. Please write down or circle or underline the word that does not have the sh sound. Okay, crush, crash, shoot, parachute, China, Michigan, chemist, cash, chiffon, moustache, Russia, magician, electrician, catch, chief, machine, kitchen, Chicago, physician. So, which was a word that does not have the sh sound? Crush, sh, crash, sh, shoot, sh, parachute, sh, China, no ch, no sh. There's a ch there. It's not China, it's China. Michigan, what is Michigan? Where is Michigan? It's a place in the United States of America. Michigan has a sh. Chemist has a k, does not have the sh. So chemist as well. China and chemist do not have the sh in the first column. Second column, cash, sh, chef, sh, chiffon, sh, moustache, sh, Russia, sh, musician, sh, electrician, sh. So in the second column we have all words with a sh sound. And in the third column we have catch, the very first word does not have the sh. Chief, again, does not have the sh, it has a ch. Machine has a sh. Kitchen has a ch, good, does not have the sh. Chicago has the sh. Again, Chicago, a place in the United States of America. And physician has the sh again. Yes, it's just an activity for us to see how we're producing the sh and listening for the difference between the ch, the ch, the sh and the j. Okay, we have done all the articulators and speech organs as well. We've done place of articulation. We said bilabial means two lips, p, b, m, w. Yes, labiodentals, we have f, v. Yes, labio and dentals. Dentals, we have th and the. Alveolar, we have t, d, n, s, z, l. Alveolar. We have palatoalveolar, which is sh, j, ch, j, r. Okay, yes, and we have y as a palatal consonant. We have velars as ng, k, g, yes, and glottal as h. Plosive, we said a manner of articulation. Plosive, just a small puff of air coming out like p, b, t, d, k, g. Yes, small puff of air. A fricatives, we said a ch, j. Nasal, we said a m, n, ng, are nasal sounds. Fricatives, we said, were f, v, th, the, s, z, sh, j, h. Lateral, we said, was l, as in love. And we have approximants as w, r, and y. This was just an introduction to consonants that we have done, that we will be carrying on doing in the further sessions. And also this is just to give you an idea so that we get we get comfortable with what are plosives, what are fricatives, nasal sounds, palato-alveolar, place of articulation, and of course the articulators, which are our speech organs. Voiced and unvoiced, we said, were exactly, voiced is the vibrated sound and unvoiced is the unvibrated sounds. We'll go further and do the first articulators that we have, or the session on v and w sound, and we will see how v and w sounds are produced. I'll see you further in the next session, and we'll take a short break here. Thank you.